Let's say the quiet part out loud. A lot of men do not waste women's time by accident. They do it deliberately, strategically, and sometimes so smoothly that the woman does not even realize she's being drained until years of her life are already gone. That is what makes it so vicious. Because the lie is not always, "I don't care about you." The lie is usually softer than that, cleaner than that, more seductive than that. It sounds like, "I just need time. I want to do this right. You know how much you mean to me. I've never felt this way before. I'm not ready yet, but I'm serious about you. Don't ruin this by forcing labels. Why are you in such a rush if what we have is real?" And that is how the trap works. Because some men do not keep women with truth. They keep them with fog. Not enough clarity to feel safe. Not enough pain to make leaving easy. Just enough affection, just enough chemistry, just enough false depth to keep the woman emotionally anesthetized while her life bleeds out in slow motion. So when we ask, why do men waste women's time? We are not asking about innocent confusion. We are talking about men who take a woman's youth, loyalty, softness, body, emotional labor, patience, and prime years, and repay her with delay, ambiguity, and performative love. And then have the nerve to call it a relationship. One, because many men want the privileges of love without the burden of choosing. This is the first truth. A lot of men do not actually want partnership. They want access. Access to her body. Access to her attention. Access to her emotional support. Access to her loyalty. Access to her listening ear. Access to her nurturing. Access to the peace she brings into his chaotic life. He wants to be comforted like a husband, desired like a boyfriend, forgiven like a child, admired like a king. But when it is time to offer clarity, structure, direction, commitment, sacrifice, and public certainty, he disappears into smoke. Because what he really wanted was not love. It was service disguised as intimacy. And many women miss this because they think involvement means intention. It does not. A man can sleep beside you, eat your food, cry on your shoulder, ask for your prayers, call you every night, say, "I miss you," and still have zero real plans for you. Why? Because attachment is cheap. Routine is cheap. Access is cheap. Decision is expensive. That is where weak men get exposed. 2, because some men are parasites in the emotional economy of women. Let's use a harder word, because a softer one would be dishonest. Some men are parasites. Not because they are monsters in every area of life. Not because they are always loud, abusive, or obviously evil. But because they know how to feed on a woman's hope. They feed on her patience. They feed on her loyalty. They feed on her belief that love, if given enough time, will eventually turn into security. They know she is invested. They know she sees potential. They know she wants depth, not games. They know she is trying to be understanding, feminine, prayerful, supportive, and not too demanding. So they weaponize that. They turn her maturity into a waiting room. They turn her empathy into free rent. They turn her hope into a leash. And the reason this is so destructive is because the woman often thinks she is loving him well, when in reality she is being harvested. Her energy is being harvested. Her beauty is being harvested. Her best years are being harvested. Her emotional labor is being harvested. He is eating from her life while pretending he is still figuring things out. No, a lot of the time he is not figuring things out. He is figuring out how long he can keep extracting value before consequences arrive. 3, because cowardice is one of the main engines of male time wasting. Let's not overcomplicate this. A lot of men waste women's time because they are cowards. Not confused. Not emotionally processing. Not healing. Cowards. They do not want to have the uncomfortable conversation. They do not want to admit, "I like what you give me, but I do not see you as my future." They do not want to look like the villain. They do not want to lose access. They do not want the guilt. They do not want the backlash. They do not want to sit inside the consequences of their own selfishness. So they stall. They hide behind timing. They hide behind trauma. They hide behind financial excuses. They hide behind working on themselves. They hide behind wanting to be sure. They hide behind not being where they want to be yet. Now let's be clear, sometimes those reasons are real. But here is the question that exposes everything. If he is not ready, why is he still taking everything a ready woman has to give? That is the real scandal. Because a man who truly respects you does not set up camp in your life while claiming he is too uncertain to build. A man who truly honors you does not consume the benefits of closeness while withholding the safety of commitment. That is not caution. That is theft with polite language. Because he enjoys being worshipped, even if he never intends to choose. Some men waste women's time because they are addicted to being adored. He likes that she looks at him with belief. He likes that she sees the best in him. He likes that she encourages him. He likes that she stays. He likes that she forgives him. He likes that she answers. He likes that she still wants him after he has disappointed her. That does something to a man's ego. Especially a weak man. Especially a man who is not truly disciplined, not deeply principled, not emotionally clean. Because now he has a woman who is pouring gold into him while he gives her vapor in return. And he may not want her enough to marry her, but he absolutely wants to keep being seen by her. Why? Because to some men, being deeply loved by a good woman is the closest thing they have ever felt to significance. So they keep her near, not because they are honorable, but because her devotion makes them feel larger than they really are. And that is why some women get trapped for years by men who never intended to choose them. The man may not love her properly, but he is intoxicated by being loved by her. 5. Because placeholders are real. This word hurts because it exposes something humiliating. Some women are not girlfriends in a man's mind. They are placeholders. She keeps him company while he gets his money up. She keeps him warm while he heals from another woman. She keeps him emotionally regulated while he builds his confidence. She keeps him sexually satisfied while he buys time. She keeps his life from feeling empty while he waits for the version of love he actually wants. That is why he can be present and absent at the same time. That is why he can be affectionate without being decisive. That is why he can say beautiful things without building anything solid. That is why he can let years pass without any real movement. Because placeholders are not meant to be secured. They are meant to be used until the season changes. And yes, that word is ugly. Used. But some situations deserve ugly words, because pretty language protects ugly behavior. 6. Because modern dating lets men run scams with emotions instead of money. Let's call it what it is. A lot of these men are running emotional scams. Not always consciously in every detail. Not always like criminal masterminds sitting in a dark room. But functionally, that is exactly what it is. They sell a woman a future they are not serious about delivering. They collect benefits in the present. They keep her invested through intermittent reinforcement. They prevent her from leaving through hope, guilt, affection, sex, spiritual language, or the fear of starting over. That is a scam. The currency is not dollars. The currency is time, trust, youth, reproductive years, emotional bandwidth, psychological stability. And the woman does not realize she is being defrauded because the product looks real enough from a distance. There are dates. There is chemistry. There are I love yous. There are moments of tenderness. There are family meetings. There are shared routines. There are future conversations. But underneath it all, there is no binding intention, only prolonged extraction. That is why some women wake up one day and feel violated in a way they cannot even fully explain. Because nothing looked criminal, nothing looked dramatic enough, but deep down they know something precious was taken from me under false pretenses. 7. Because some men know exactly what kind of woman is easiest to keep waiting. This is one of the darkest truths. Time wasters do not always keep any woman. They often keep a specific kind of woman. The empathetic woman. The loyal woman. The spiritually serious woman. The nurturing woman. The woman who believes in growth. The woman who sees potential. The woman who does not want to be difficult. The woman who thinks patience is love. The woman who fears being unfair. The woman who has been taught that a good woman stays, supports and understands. Those women are gold. And weak men know it. They know those women are less likely to leave quickly, less likely to explode, less likely to embarrass them, less likely to demand immediate answers, more likely to pray, more likely to rationalize, more likely to give grace. So they stretch her. They test how much ambiguity she will tolerate, how long she will accept not yet, how many times she will forgive silence, how many excuses she will wrap in compassion. And once he sees she will stay through fog, a weak man learns a disgusting lesson. I can keep taking without deciding. 8. Because women often confuse emotional intensity with actual movement. Now let's say something necessary, even if it stings. Men waste women's time partly because many women are measuring the wrong thing. She feels chemistry, so she assumes seriousness. She feels intensity, so she assumes depth. She feels closeness, so she assumes direction. She hears vulnerability, so she assumes trustworthiness. She sees consistency in contact, so she assumes commitment is coming. No, those things can exist without commitment. A man can be obsessed with you and still not choose you. A man can call you every day and still not build with you. A man can say he has never felt like this before and still leave you in uncertainty for years. A man can cry in your arms and still be a thief of time. Women lose years when they worship chemistry and ignore structure. Because structure is what tells the truth. What is he building? What is he namming? What is he moving toward? What is he willing to risk? What is he doing to make this relationship safer, clearer, more honorable, more public, more defined? That is where truth lives. Not just in how he feels, in what he does. 9. Because some men are deeply comfortable with female suffering as long as it benefits them. This is harsh, but it needs to be said. Some men are perfectly willing to let a woman slowly suffer as long as they keep benefiting. He sees her anxiety. He sees her confusion. He hears her questions. He notices she is overthinking. He knows she wants certainty. He knows the relationship is making her insecure. And still he does not clarify. Why? Because her pain is not expensive enough for him. It is expensive for her, not for him. He still gets the calls. He still gets the sex. He still gets the comfort. He still gets the emotional supply. He still gets a woman acting like a wife in a relationship he refuses to secure. So from his selfish perspective, why would he rush to end a setup that is profitable to him? This is why women have to stop assuming male passivity is harmless. Sometimes passivity is predation in a hoodie. Quiet, polite, non-committal, reasonable sounding, but still destructive. 10. Because I'm not ready is sometimes a stall tactic, not a confession. Again, sometimes men truly are not ready. But that phrase has become one of the most overused hiding places in modern dating. I'm not ready. Okay. Not ready for what? Not ready to marry, find. Not ready to define, why? Not ready to build, then why are you still taking from her? Not ready to choose, then why are you occupying the space another serious man could step into? That is the question people avoid. Because if you are not ready, the honorable move is not to keep her in suspension. The honorable move is to release her. Anything else is selfish. Anything else says, I may not be ready to give you what you want, but I am still ready to keep what you give me. That is not humility. That is greed. 11. Why women stay even when the signs are there. Now let's go deeper, because this is where transformation happens. Women often stay because the time-wasting relationship does not feel obviously dead. It feels almost alive. That is the torture. If he were cruel all the time, she would leave. If he were absent all the time, she would detach. If he clearly said, I do not want you, she could grieve and go. But instead he gives fragments. A good weekend. A deep conversation. A vulnerable confession. A sweet text. A moment of tenderness. A promise. A future sentence. A burst of effort right after she starts pulling away. That is enough to reset hope. And hope is dangerous when it is fed in crumbs. Because crumbs can keep a starving person alive just long enough to never leave the table. That is what breadcrumbing really is. It is starvation management. Not love. Not devotion. Not careful packing. Starvation management. 12. The real cost is not just time, it is damage. When a man wastes a woman's time, he is not just occupying a few months or years. He is often damaging her ability to trust herself. She starts second-guessing her standards. She starts calling her instincts fear. She starts thinking clarity is pressure. She starts feeling guilty for wanting direct answers. She starts measuring herself against other women. She starts wondering whether she asked for too much. She starts training herself to accept emotional instability as normal. That is the real violence. Because now the relationship has not only delayed her life, it has rewired her expectations. She may come out of it more anxious, more suspicious, more self-abandoning, more exhausted, more cynical, less able to recognize steady love because chaos became her emotional baseline. This is why time wasting is not minor. It is not just dating that did not work out. Sometimes it is psychological vandalism. 13. How to know he is wasting your time. Let's make it plain. He is wasting your time if he enjoys all the privileges of closeness, but resists all the responsibilities of commitment. He always has a reason for why now is not the moment, but strangely never has a plan for when the moment will be. He speaks in circles when you ask direct questions. He gets irritated when clarity is requested. He wants patience from you, but offers no structure in return. He gives emotional intensity without relational movement. He says, I love you, but nothing in the relationship becomes safer, clearer, or more secure. He keeps you in private comfort, but not public certainty. He wants you to act like a wife, while he retains the freedom of a single man. He makes you feel deeply attached, but perpetually unstable. That last one is critical. Attached but unstable is where women lose entire seasons of life. 14. What women need to stop doing. Women need to stop financing male indecision with feminine loyalty. Stop calling vagueness complexity. Stop calling delay wisdom. Stop calling inconsistency a rough season. Stop treating access as evidence of intention. Stop assuming time invested means seriousness. Stop believing that because he is emotionally open with you, he must be building toward something real. No, a lot of men are emotionally open because it keeps the faucet running. That is it. The question is never just, does he care? The question is, does his care produce honorable action? Because feelings that do not create movement are often just indulgence. 15. The brutal truths. Here is the brutal truth. Some men waste women's time because they can. Because the woman is good. Because she stays. Because she hopes. Because she explains away the warning signs. Because she sees his wounds and mistakes them for depth. Because she believes if she loves hard enough, he will eventually become clear. And weak men thrive in environments where consequences are postponed. The moment a woman starts requiring clarity, structure, definition, and visible movement, a lot of men suddenly disappear. Why? Because they were never confused. They were comfortable. Closing. So why do men waste women's time? Because some are selfish. Some are cowardly. Some are greedy for access. Some are addicted to being adored. Some are placeholders merchants. Some are emotional scammers. Some are parasites living off female hope. And many have learned that if they stay vague long enough, a good woman will do the work of commitment for them, while they give almost nothing concrete back. That is the ugly truth. But here is the empowering truth. A woman who learns to value clarity over chemistry becomes extremely difficult to waste. A woman who stops romanticizing confusion becomes dangerous to manipulators. A woman who stops rewarding fog forces weak men into exposure. Because once she sees that delay can be exploitation, that not ready can be greed, that affection can be a mask for convenience, that soft words can hide a predatory appetite for access, she changes. Now she listens differently. Now she watches for movement. Now she measures structure. Now she stops auditioning for a role a serious man would offer clearly. And that is how the cycle breaks. Not when men suddenly become better, but when women stop handing their best years to men who have done nothing to prove they deserve them.